Chicago O'Hare International Airport was buzzing like any other Monday morning in America. Business travelers rushed past coffee stands, families argued softly near boarding gates, and flight attendants rehearsed their practiced smiles. Among them stood Marcus Reed, a calm, well-dressed black man in his early 40s, wearing a tailored navy suit and holding a leather briefcase. To anyone watching closely, he carried himself with quiet confidence, but no visible signs of power. Marcus checked his boarding pass again, first class seat 2A. This flight to San Francisco wasn't just another business trip. In less than 6 hours, Marcus was scheduled to attend a private aviation board meeting, one he technically owned a controlling share of. Still, he preferred to travel discreetly. No assistance, no announcements, just another passenger. As boarding began, Marcus stepped forward with the first-class group. A white flight attendant glanced at his pass, then up at him, her smile stiffening. "Sir," she said cautiously, "I think there's been a mistake. Economy boarding hasn't started yet." Marcus smiled politely. "I'm first class." She frowned, tapped her tablet, then shook her head. "First class is full. You'll need to wait." Marcus felt a familiar tightening in his chest, not anger, not shock, just recognition. He handed over his boarding pass again. "Seat 2A, you can scan it." Before she could respond, the pilot, Captain Douglas Harris, stepped out of the cockpit. Tall, confident, and clearly irritated by the delay, he looked Marcus up and down. "What seems to be the problem?" the pilot asked. "He's trying to board first class," the attendant replied. Captain Harris chuckled. "Sir, first class is reserved. If you're confused, customer service can help you rebook." Marcus kept his voice steady. "Captain, that is my assigned seat." The pilot didn't scan the pass. He didn't check the system. He simply crossed his arms. "We don't have time for this. Please step aside." Around them, first-class passengers, mostly white, mostly well-dressed, watched silently. Some avoided eye contact. Others stared openly, curiosity mixing with judgment. A man in a gray suit whispered, "Unbelievable," though it wasn't clear at whom. Marcus stepped aside slowly. He could have argued. He could have raised his voice. He could have made a scene. But years in boardrooms had taught him something far more effective: patience. As passengers continued boarding, Marcus pulled out his phone. He didn't call customer service. He didn't tweet. He didn't record a video. Instead, he opened an email thread labeled Fleet Operations, Confidential. The plane door was about to close when Marcus calmly pressed Send. Inside the cockpit, Captain Harris settled into his seat, smug and satisfied. To him, this was just another entitled passenger put in his place. He had no idea that in exactly 12 minutes this flight and his career would come to a sudden, unforgettable halt. 12 minutes after the cabin doors closed, Flight 482 was still parked at the gate. Passengers shifted impatiently in their seats as the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a brief operational delay. Please remain seated." In the cockpit, Captain Douglas Harris frowned at the sudden alert flashing on his console. Dispatch was calling again. He answered, irritation sharp in his tone. "This is Harris. What's the holdup?" The reply drained the color from his face. "Captain, this aircraft is not cleared for departure. Shut down engines immediately." "What, why?" Harris snapped. "Because Mr. Marcus Reed has placed an executive hold on this flight." Silence filled the cockpit. Harris laughed nervously. "You've got the wrong person. There's no executive named Marcus Reed on my plane." There was a pause on the line. Then slowly, deliberately, the dispatcher said, "Sir, Marcus Reed is the majority owner of Horizon Atlantic Airlines." Harris's throat went dry. In the terminal jet bridge, Marcus Reed stood calmly as two senior airline executives hurried toward him, breathless and pale. Behind them trailed airport security and a legal representative. "Mr. Reed, one executive said urgently, lowering his voice. "We sincerely apologize for what just happened. This should never have occurred." Marcus nodded once. "I agree." Inside the cabin, confused murmurs grew louder as the plane powered down. A flight attendant whispered, "We're being deplaned," her hands trembling. The captain stepped into the aisle, trying to regain control. "Everyone, please remain calm." "Captain Harris," a firm voice interrupted. Marcus had boarded last. He walked slowly down the aisle, every eye locked onto him now. First-class passengers stared in disbelief as Marcus stopped beside seat 2A. "This is my seat," he said quietly. Captain Harris swallowed hard. "Sir, there's been a misunderstanding." "No," Marcus replied, "there's been an assumption." He turned to the executive standing behind him. "This pilot denied me my assigned seat without verification. That violates company policy, federal boarding regulations, and our anti-discrimination code." The lead executive nodded. "Yes, sir." Marcus looked back at the captain. "Captain Harris, effective immediately, you are relieved of duty pending termination." A collective gasp filled the cabin. You can't do this," Harris stammered. Marcus met his eyes evenly. "I already have." Security escorted the pilot off the aircraft as stunned passengers watched in silence. Some looked ashamed, others looked inspired. Marcus finally took his seat in first class, not with triumph but with dignity. Before the doors reopened, Marcus stood and addressed the cabin. "This isn't about revenge," he said. "It's about accountability. Respect doesn't come from a uniform or a title. It comes from how you treat people when you think no one important is watching." The plane was reassigned a new pilot. As Marcus settled back, his phone buzzed with a message. "Policy review initiated. Mandatory bias training approved." Marcus exhaled softly. 12 minutes ago, he was just another black man told he didn't belong. Now he had reminded an entire airline, and everyone watching, that power doesn't always announce itself.